It's time for Remodel Revolution. And now, an award-winning contractor with over 40 years experience. Here is Alex Guthrie.
Welcome to another episode of Remodel Revolution. I'm your host, Alex Guthrie. We're coming to you from the world headquarters of Remodel Revolution, deep in the heart of the great state of Texas. This is the show where there are no politics, no sports, and no mean people. Thank you for being here today. We're going to have a fantastic show today. I have with me today the president of Closets by Design Dallas, Jay Hemby. And Jay and I are going to discuss home offices. Kind of great timing. And we're going to have Jay on in just a few minutes. But just before we do that, I want to continue with our conversation we were having last week about some of the mistakes homeowners are making before they start their remodel. And the reason this is coming up is because right now, coming out of this pandemic, there's a lot of sort of pent-up demand for remodeling. And there's a couple of things that are driving some kind of difficult situations for some people. And it's really not unusual. It's sort of common that this happens. I've noticed over the years that after recessions, we end up with a lot more contractors, and there's a reason for that. It's because a lot of companies shut down, and so the people that work there decide that they really don't have much choice. They go to work for themselves, and they start their own small business, and that's fine. It's wonderful. There's nothing better than a business that's run by somebody that's passionate about their business, but that person isn't always an experienced business person and doesn't always have all the answers and have his ducks in a row or her ducks in a row. So you have to be kind of careful when you're hiring people. Now, I can tell you probably 50 stories of people that have gotten into bad situations, and we kind of all know somebody that will tell you horror stories about the remodels. Maybe it was the house, maybe it was the contractor, who knows, but it happens. It's sort of to be expected with most remodels. So we've been spending a couple of weeks here talking about some of the things that you need to be aware of, some of the things that maybe they're sort of common things that people do that are kind of mistakes when they're getting started. So one of them that I wanted to start out with today was hiring a professional that's not a good fit. This is super, super important when you're interviewing people for your project. Your house is a certain style of home. It could be contemporary and modern. It could be traditional. It could maybe have stucco or brick or something on the outside. It may have a certain type of finish on the inside that you want. Maybe you have a really high-end glazed paint finish. Maybe you have hand-scraped floors. Maybe you don't. Maybe you have just a plain old house with regular old oak floors or carpeting. The person that you're hiring to come in and remodel your house needs to understand and understand how to work with the house as it is. So you don't want a person that's never worked on a modern contemporary house necessarily learning how to work modern contemporary construction on your house. So you want to make sure that the person that you're hiring understands all those little tricks and finishes. I'll tell you right now why this comes up, because I go in houses a lot and I see houses. Let's talk about the modern contemporary house. That's a very specific type of finish inside that house. It has to be clean, sharp edges, straight lines. Everything has to be level and plumb, because the whole house is linear. Everything in the house shows from a linear perspective. Now, that sounds fairly simple, and they look simple, but they're not. It takes a craftsman that understands that when they're working on the house. That way the finishes line up the way they should, everything finishes. I just did a house about a couple of years ago, I think it's 2 years now. If you go on our YouTube, to Remodel Revolution on our YouTube, you'll see a project that we did called the Rescue House. And that is where the homeowner decided to turn a house that was fairly traditional into more of a modern design. And the people that they hired were just simply not up to the task. That's why they hired us to come in and fix it. That's why we call it the Rescue House. And you could tell when you went in the house that nothing was done the way it should have been to end up with the final result that the homeowner was looking for from the very beginning. And we ended up doing lots of cosmetic things that had to be fixed because the people that worked on the house didn't understand that type of construction. And this is the point that I'm trying to make. So make sure that the person that you're hiring understands and is comfortable with the type of house you're asking them to fix. Also, make sure that this is a person that you're comfortable with. Another problem that we have when we're coming out of these recessions is with the volume of builders that are out there is pricing, because pricing, and particularly right now, pricing is critical because materials are very expensive, labor's more expensive, and there's actually shortages in materials for various reasons. So when you have a brand new person that's just learning their trade as a contractor, it's on the business end of it, it's very easy to lose track of cost. And this is a critical part of your project. You have to make sure that your budget is in alignment with the project that you're wanting to do so that the project can actually be finished. We look at lots of projects, lots of them, that never get completed because the homeowner simply runs out of money because the budget wasn't set and the expectations weren't set properly at the very beginning. So make sure that the person that you're hiring, it's okay to hire somebody that's just gone in business for certain things, and they might be nice people, but they need to work their way through the experience part of being in business so that you're protecting yourself, okay? So hire a professional that is going to be able to work with your house. Sorry, I got to look at my list here. Another problem people have is they kind of get charmed by the person that they're discussing the project with, the potential contractor. They sort of get charmed by them for whatever reason. And it's easy to do in the first meeting because everybody's happy, everybody's on their best behavior, everybody just took a bath. And so you have to make sure that you check references, because that first meeting is wonderful, you're feeling good about it, but you better make sure that that's still the right person for you. Check references. 2 or 3 is plenty. That should give you enough. I've talked to people that are taking quotes from 10 or 11 or 12 contractors, and I just won't even talk to them because that's a total waste of so many people's time. 2 or 3 is plenty. And if you haven't found the right person then you need to ask yourself, what are you using for your matrix for finding this person? Or, in other words, are you just looking for someone that's qualified? Or are you looking for somebody that's going to get you to the right budget that you want? There's a lot of factors involved. So check their references and make sure that they're finishing the project, make sure that they're staying somewhere reasonably within budget. Now, I'll have people who get mad at me all the time about budget, but the budget is driven by both parties, not just the contractor, not just the homeowner. So when you're talking about budget with somebody, no project is cheap enough and no project gets done fast enough. That's just sort of the rule of the business that we're in. Okay. Also, waiting too long to consult a general contractor is a common problem people have before they start their remodel. And that is really important. And I have people ask me all the time, should I call the engineer first, or should I call the architect first, or should I call a contractor first? And my first, of course, since I'm a contractor, my opinion is that I really like looking at that project, because I think I can save you money by looking at first from my perspective and just tell you if something is not maybe reasonable or realistic. Because you can ask the engineer or the architect, and they're like, sure, we can make anything happen, but do you want to pay for it? And so you have to think about who you're going to talk to first. I recommend talking to the contractor first, but I always want to be the first guy in. There have been times when I've met with people and I've said, before we have another discussion, I need you to get an architect out here to see if this is actually going to work. That's another way of approaching it as well. But a lot of times, not a lot of times, but sometimes I'm handed a set of plans that is so, it's not comprehensible with the house, where I'll look at it and I'll just go, I don't know how you're going to get this done within your budget. And it's because they went to the architect first, who, you can make anything work on paper. And so think about that. Make sure and talk to your contractor early on. Now, another really important part before you start your project is understanding the design, understanding what people are putting in front of you. And that's a big, big challenge for a lot of people. I have a lot of clients that are not visual, and they'll tell me, Alex, I'm not visual. I have to see something. I can't stand there and describe something, to verbalize something to them, and have them actually be able to kind of, transfer brain to brain, and they see what's in my head. I understand that. And so sometimes they'll just shake their head and go, yeah, okay, I trust you, whatever. I really want you to understand what you're getting. I want you to understand the design. And that means you have to ask a lot of questions if you're seeing something that you don't understand. When you look at a set of blueprints for a house or an addition or whatever you're doing, there is a lot of symbolism on that plan. A couple of weeks ago, Poonam and I did a segment on how to read plans, and you should go back and look at that if you're planning on doing your house and you're having this issue, because there's lots of little things that are hard to understand when you look at the right-hand column on the plan, and there's this big list of symbols that the architect puts on there. Also, understanding the dimensions of how a room, the size, visualizing it in your head. I'll tell you, when you look at plans, it can be real deceiving, because it'll look like the room is really big, and you go, man, that's really big. And I'll tell you, the phases we go through a lot of times when we're doing particularly additions or new homes is you look at the plan, you go, wow, that's huge. And then you look at the slab after we've poured the concrete, and you go, wow, that looks little. And then you're going, man, I hope it's big enough. And then when we stand the walls up and put the ceiling and the roof on, you go, man, that's huge. So you go through these different phases during the process of the project. So trying to understand details, understand the plan that you're getting, because I'll tell you, changing it after it started gets super expensive and super frustrating. So make sure that you understand exactly what you're getting. Not asking enough questions is a huge problem. I know you trust your contractor, you trust your designer. You want to just say to them, hey, you guys deal with it. That's a mistake. You need to make sure and ask all the questions. If you don't have, this is how we work out these little details and these little challenges that we're going to have along the way. So for instance, if you're thinking that you want let's say a certain size window, well, let's talk about the actual window. Do we want the window to have dividers in it? A lot of them we put in now don't. We want just a big solid pane of glass where you can see out the window. These are questions that you need to question everything that's being done to your house, to the designer, the architect, and of course to the contractor, and make sure that they answer it in a way that you understand it. Another problem that people have when they're doing remodels, and this is out of a top 25 mistakes people make, that is where I got this, and I love this one, and it's making too many changes along the way. Changes affect, one little change up front affects all the way, it has a ripple effect all the way through the project. So if you make a change just moving a wall or moving a doorway, you're affecting several trades. You know, you could be affecting electrical, plumbing, air conditioning, all the way through. It has a ripple effect. And those ripple effects all have a cost normally. And for me as a contractor to be able to give you an accurate cost at that point is very difficult. I can't always tell you exactly what's going to happen down the road. I may not realize that there's a plumbing fixture that has to be moved or something like that. So make sure that when you're making change orders, you understand how that affects everything down the road and that you're prepared for it. Prepare yourself in your budget with at least 10 to 20% extra money. I just tell my clients, hide it under a rock, and if you don't use it, you don't use it. It's very rare that you don't use at least part of it. These things are very unpredictable in a remodel. Remodel is basically a set of challenges that you're overcoming. As I always say to my clients, your house wasn't built to be remodeled. And so when we start tearing it apart, it fights back. And we are presented with just challenge after challenge after challenge. And that's really what a remodel is. So the successful remodel is honestly, a remodel is just all changes. It's not it's not like building a new house where you're just seeing a plan on paper and you're building it. This is a whole different game. So make sure that you prepare yourself for change orders. Make sure that you understand it's common. Every job has them because there's so much unpredictability. So you're not crazy. I have people that get upset with themselves and say, gosh, I'm so sorry. Don't apologize for it. This is part of the process. Just make sure you're prepared for it, and make sure you're prepared in your budget, and also make sure that your contractor is providing you with a written cost of that change order so that you know how to adjust your budget. We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to talk more about the 25 mistakes people are making when they start their remodel. We'll be right back.
The hardest working and arguably most important system in our homes is our air conditioning and heating system. It heats the air, it cools the air, and it filters the air. That's why it's so critical to have it checked and maintained by the very best professionals available. It's time to contact Total Air and Heat at totalair.com. Get that system pruned and tuned. If you want to have the very best experience, you've got to hire the very best company. Total Air's employees are honest, well-trained, and thoroughly background checked. I never have to worry about sending their technicians out to my clients' homes. Family owned and operated for 3 generations, Total Air and Heat has been a fixture in North Dallas for over 60 years. Total Air is a proud dealer of the Trane air conditioning systems, and you know how hard it is to stop a Trane, so give them a call at 972-881-0020. That's 972-881-0020, or contact them at totalair.com today.
People continue to make mistakes along the way when they're doing remodels, because houses don't want to be remodeled. They weren't built to be remodeled. They're built to be the house that they are. And so we've been discussing the last couple of weeks how to avoid some of these mistakes by talking about some of the most common things that happen along the way in a remodel. And one of the things that is the most challenging for me in remodeling is setting a timeline. Now, my clients that are watching this will laugh pretty loud. because setting a timeline for me, they'll ask me and I never give them a straight answer because I honestly just don't know. I try to set my timeline in blocks of time instead of days and hours because I just can't possibly do that. There are too many factors that weigh into that timeline. But let's talk about how that's happening right now in the age of pandemic and COVID and a recession and all the challenges that we have as a country. Right now, setting a timeline is virtually almost impossible. We have so many challenges getting materials to projects. We have challenges with labor shortages. We have challenges with a pandemic where they shut us down and then they open us up and then they shut us down. And it's making it very difficult for manufacturers. It's making it difficult for the delivery system. It's making it difficult for the contractor to tell the client it's going to be X amount of time. If you ordered something from China 2 years ago, and a lot of our material comes from China, you would be told that they would give you a 3 to 4 month estimate of delivery. They may still be doing that. I haven't asked lately, but this is sort of the world we're dealing with right now. Another thing that has changed in the last few years, probably 10, 15 years, is that manufacturers and suppliers don't keep things on their shelves like they used to. They used to keep a big stock. These days, they manufacture by order to a degree. So now I'm not talking about big box store items. Of course, those are manufactured mostly in China and mostly in a big container. But if you're talking about a more specialty type of product, these are things that you're generally going to have to wait weeks and weeks to get. It used to be 3 or 4 weeks. Then it was 6 or 8 weeks, and now it's 2 or 3 months. And so it's really hard for us to predict how long it's going to take to get these things. So when we're talking about a realistic timeline, you need to make sure and add some time in there for the project, for delays that really nobody can control. So we're going to take another quick break, and when we come back, we're going to have Jay Hemby with the president of Closets by Design DFW, and we're going to talk about home offices. This has become a huge part of their business, a much larger part than it was just a few months ago. And Jay and I have some interesting slides to show you, and we're going to have a fantastic discussion. We'll be right back. Don't go away.
Imagine this, a totally customized, organized, and beautiful master closet. A home office that fits right into a perfect space. A pantry designed specifically for your storage needs. Imagine your home totally organized. It's time to call the design professionals at Closets by Design DFW and turn your dreams into a reality. With a design staff over 30 strong, Closets by Design works directly with you to create your dream space, and they build it locally, helping support the DFW community. Check them out at dallas.closetsbydesign.com or call them at 972-361-0010. Use the promo code RRV to find out about the amazing specials and discounts available. That's dallas.closetsbydesign.com or call them at 972-361-0010, and don't forget that promo code RRV. Closets by Design.
Boy, I tell you what, we live in a different world. It's amazing how 6 months have changed our world. It is just incredible. One of the biggest changes is that so many people are working from home, but not only that, they're teaching from home as well. So it really has compounded the space we live in and the world we live in with working and learning out of the home. So I asked Jay Hemby, my friend from Closets by Design, he's the president of Closets by Design DFW, to talk to us about home offices, because I know that I've been doing, Jay, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Alex. glad to be here.
I'm so glad you could make it today.
Thanks for having me.
I couldn't think of anybody else to ask these questions. Now, I've been doing home offices for many decades in my, the few decades. I'm only 29 years old, but I started
aged
thinking
well.
about this. So we've always done like particularly if we're in a large home and maybe we have an executive as a client, it's not unusual for us to do a home office. But I noticed a really radical change in home offices probably 15 years ago or so when we got the internet. And people were able to start, particularly people that traveled in their business, were able to work more from the home. They had more access to communications and things like that. You know, I don't know very many people that even have a landline anymore because we're all so connected.
Right, with technology.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. Interesting you mentioned that. My previous life as a consultant, I would travel years ago Monday through Friday and did very little work from home. And then with the advent of technology and the internet and so forth, the work week was more of 4 days on the road, 1 day at home. And so you set up your office to be able to work, 3 or 4 days a month at home. But now, as you mentioned in the intro, people that temporarily were working from home, and now it's shifted more into a permanent mode. You have to be able to function 5 days a week from home as opposed to 1 day a week or a couple of days a month.
Well, this poses some interesting challenges to us, to the people working from home. First of all, you're not sitting in front of the TV, watching game shows. You actually have to discipline yourself to go in your office and work. You don't have somebody standing over your shoulder watching what you're doing. Now, I know that's not 100% true because I know a lot of these corporations now are actually providing the computer and the cable or whatever it is, and they're able to actually monitor when people are working. So I know that's. I don't have that problem because I'm not monitorable. I'm too out of control. But it presents a lot of challenges from that. But then there's, from your perspective as a installer and builder of these home offices, let's talk about some of the challenges you have actually in the house that your clients are bringing to you, such as where to put it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the demand for the home office and the workstation has never been greater for us. This summer, we've been so busy finding creative ways to get more people in the household working and learning from home. You've got, many parents now are working from home, and, as you mentioned, they are teaching their kids from home, either homeschool or via Zoom or the internet, led by a teacher from their school. Yeah, virtual classrooms. I know the school that my kid attends, I think 25% are doing virtual. So the challenge has been to find the workspace, develop those workstations in home. And when you talk about the kids, the goal, if you can do it, is separate home from home work. Sometimes it's okay to have a workstation for the kids in their bedroom, but we'd like to move it to a different place in the home and separate home from home work.
And that's a particular challenge.
Yeah.
And because you're having to deal with the house at that point.
Right.
You're having to go where?
Well, that's where we put on our creative hats, and that's one thing that we pride ourselves at Closets by Design is finding creative solutions to organizing challenges. And we've set up workstations in closets, in areas underneath stairs, mud rooms. We've put an office or a workstation in an office within an office,
Well,
Sometimes when
and we'll
both
do,
parents
like
are
when
there.
I do
Yeah.
kitchen, a lot of times I'll do a built-in office in the kitchen that looks like the kitchen. And so
Mm-hmm.
you'll open a couple of cabinet doors, and it's actually usually for the wife, or it could be the kids
Yeah.
now.
Yeah.
But it's actually ends up,
Yeah.
it converts into a little office space.
Yeah, some homes have your typical builder's grade mom's desk with a small countertop,
Right.
maybe one drawer. And again, if you're using it once in a while, that's satisfactory. But now people are using that daily. And so what we can provide is to customize that area, that space for the customer's needs. So instead of one drawer to hold some pencils and notepads, now they have some filing drawers for filing things away.
Organization.
Organization is the key.
They need. Do you have an electric, a little shock chair or something in there that you can put in so when the kids are.
We do have. One of the trends is to put lighting, lighting in shelves and in bookcases and in cabinetry that we install, but not the shock chair yet.
Yeah.
We haven't got there. Yeah.
And I don't mean electric chair. Let's just make sure we're.
Yeah. Just to keep people on task. No, we haven't done that. But yeah, so that's one of the challenges that we have enjoyed helping customers with is finding that space. Sometimes we have taken some nooks in homes that are traditionally there just for aesthetics or for artwork, and we've installed a workstation there.
And
so
we've got
finding those places.
We're going to come up and go through some images that we've got for you and kind of talk about what these spaces are. But before we do that, let's talk about, well, here's one right here. So
yeah, there was a bedroom where your traditional little countertop wasn't sufficient. So we've got filing drawers. We've got ample space for a printer, for the laptop or the computer, and then you still have some pictures to make it homey. So that one is combined there.
And when you're doing these, you're also having to deal with the design of the house,
right?
So you can't just you don't want to just take like when I was young, and you would take an old door, right, and you'd put some cinder blocks up on the floor. You'd put the door slab cinder block to cinder block, and that was your desk. It was very cool. I'll tell you. That was cool back in the, or maybe milk crates. You know?
You can get creative with milk crates.
You can find them on the side of the road. But you're actually you have a very sophisticated design element to your cabinets.
Absolutely. I mean, our designers meet with the customer in their home, do an inventory of their needs, their storage needs, their organizational challenges, and then design a piece of furniture. When we're talking home offices, we're talking a piece of furniture custom that meets the needs of that customer and that space to make them more organized and more efficient for working at home. And then colors. I think we have about 28 different colors. So a wide plethora of colors there and textures to fit, as you mentioned earlier in your first segment, to fit the look and feel and the personality of the home. So there's a custom piece of furniture there that we're installing with this home office. And it's even something that the way we build it, can be left in the home, adds value to resale. It could also be disassembled and taken with the customer.
Oh, that's interesting.
To another home or to another spot in the house.
So some of the things that you have to plan around, like you said, is like the actual equipment that's in an office. So you have a printer, you have a computer, maybe whatever you've got. Right. Maybe you have a
smart TV,
a desktop that's got a TV. Yeah. Right.
Yeah, we even worked with a customer recently that had two kids that they were, doing in-home learning, and so they would use technology with the laptop to display it up on a large smart TV.
Oh, interesting.
so the kids could see it bigger on a smart TV. So yeah, we take that into account. And another thing about our systems, they can hide the wires.
Well,
So all that wiring can be hidden. So it's not seen, it's not visible, it's not in your way, and you're not having to deal with the
that to
wires.
me is a huge part of the equation, is that we're doing so much wireless.
Yeah.
And so you can, I know that I've got a wireless keyboard, I've got a wireless mouse. You know, I can literally sit 10 feet from my desk and work, but my tired old eyes can't see what I'm doing. Although that is a good excuse when you receive something from me and you go, "Can't you spell cat?" I could if I could see it. But the wireless technology is really allowing us to do design features that are literally, you can put a desk or a workstation literally anywhere in the house.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because you don't have to pull wires to it.
You don't have to pull wires.
You just need electricity.
You just need some electricity. You need some power.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so these stations are planned out. Now, I'm really interested in how you're dealing with the kids, because to me, if you have two parents, and let's say you've got two kids or even one kid, everybody's working from home. They haven't been able to go to the gym, so they're working out at home, you know?
Yeah.
And they're getting a little aggressive. Everybody's getting tired of seeing each other. It's kind of like the vacation that never goes away.
It never goes away. Yeah. Yeah.
So you're finding, like you said, little nooks or little spots to stick. So the kids would be more of a workstation.
More of a workstation, right. They typically don't need as much space as the parent that's working from home full time. So it's a workstation, and we can, we've put them in their bedrooms to complement what was there from the builder. But we also try to get creative again and try to separate home from home work for the kids, and yet find a place where the parent can still do a conference call.
Exactly.
Or participate in their Zoom meeting.
Right.
They can still do that while the child is learning from.
Can't be heard.
Can't be heard. Yeah, is learning and that sort of thing. So each house is different. Like you said, houses weren't built necessarily for a full remodel. They weren't built with. Typically with all the homework that is going on today. So many people are, permanently working from home, which, our business in that area has literally doubled this summer.
I imagine.
It has doubled. We've been so busy helping people get organized and being efficient from home. And again, they've gone from working 1 or 2 days a month. Now they're working 4 or 5 days a week from homes. So that brings on those types of challenges, and you want to maximize your efficiency and be organized, and our systems do that. They're customized.
Well,
to
and there's
fit
another issue that comes up when you have all these people working from home, and that is the noise that we were talking about, where you have to be able to have. Now, Poonam and I have been doing a Poonam's pandemic projects every week for about 5 or 6 weeks now. And one of our early ones was setting up your office, your home office, so that when you're doing a Zoom conference or something, you have to think about what people see behind you.
Yes.
And so your designers probably tackle this every day with people. It's not just, well, yeah, sure, we can put it there, but when you're on a Zoom call, they're going to see the trash cans outside the window.
Yeah, they're going to see what's behind you. One of the morning shows that we watch in the morning, behind the person on the news, you'll see his dog and his doggy bed, and sometimes the dog's asleep, sometimes the dog.
Well, the dog's become part of the show.
It's part of the show. It's like, is the dog going to be there or not? So yeah, you have to take that into account. So there's some aesthetics there. Where you position it when you're doing Zoom,
I've done some of these in houses where they didn't have an option and we would have to go in and maybe put doors in and divide rooms. I did, the most recent one I can think of was in a house in Plano, and actually we built the office, and it was more furniture. It wasn't a built-in office, but we had to divide the room, a formal living room. And I put some beautiful French doors in so that when he was working, he could close the French doors. You could still see through them and see the fireplace and the beauty of the room. And then he used furniture for his office so it didn't look built in. So there's ways to sort of design around these spaces, and because you don't always have a big enough closet to put a workstation.
No,
in.
most closets aren't big enough for that. I mean, some are. I think we've got a photo of one where we did put a small workstation in a closet. But we did a project the other day where the customer had a very large bonus room, and it was just a playroom for the kids. You had various games and so forth in there. They decided to split that, to your point, split that and keep the game room on one side of the bonus room and yet use the other half of that bonus room for learning. And so we worked with them and they needed 2 workspaces for the kids, different grades. So one kid was older, so we designed, this is a picture of the workstation we put in a closet. You've got an upper cabinet, you've got a desktop, and then you've got like 2 filing drawers and then a smaller drawer.
See, now, being the guy that I am, the way I look at that is I see 2 drawers, one for socks, one for underwear, and then you open the doors and I could have all my T-shirts stacked in there.
That's a different spot outside that photo. Yeah,
I'm genetically what I am.
Well, yeah.
No, but that's a great example of a nice little workstation. And so, folks, if you're listening to this on the podcast, go to the Remodel Revolution YouTube channel, and you'll see these pictures. And so, real quick, we've got about a couple minutes left. You're having to divide. I was real curious how you're dealing with multiple kids with noise. I mean, or that you just having to find a way to put them in separate rooms, or how does that work? Because that's got to be a problem. I mean, you've got I'm assuming you have a virtual classroom. Maybe you've got 2 kids, each one of them's in a different class.
Well, ideally, if you could put the kids in different rooms, that would be ideal. It would probably reduce distractions as well, because that's an important thing with the in-home learning, is reducing distractions.
Sure.
That's why we try to get them out of the bedroom. And if you can have separate workstations, that would be preferred. But the one I was talking about with the bonus room, they didn't have that luxury, and so we incorporated 2 different workstations there. And with technology and the headphones, they can use if they're just listening to a teacher.
I didn't even think about
headphones. They can use the headphones, and so they're zoned in on their class.
That's cool.
And their younger sibling, at a slightly different type of workstation,
idea.
They can be zoned in on theirs with the headphones. So again, technology is advancing, as we speak.
How long does
necessity
it take
brings invention, and so we've had to do that.
Exactly. How long does it take you to produce one of these? Someone calls a homeowner calls you, you give them a design, or
right. We meet with them in the home.
That's step one of the process.
That's a few hours. That's 2 or 3 hours to take the inventory, find out their needs, design it right there in the home. So start to finish, a couple of hours, we can get that done and get the project on our installation board. Because it's busy right now. Honestly, we're about 8 weeks out.
Wow.
So it's about 2 months before we can come in and install it. So it's like you were talking about earlier. It's the demand is so high right now. So
our world's changed a little bit, hasn't it?
Yeah, it has. It has, and I think part of the demand this summer was people were getting ready for school to start.
Right. Well, and they didn't know what to do.
They didn't know what to do.
They didn't know if kids are going or staying, or
and those that are finding that's their sweet spot. They're they're going, okay, we did a makeshift, just kind of a dad project. Well, now we want to make it more customized and more efficient for our kids and for ourselves too.
Jay, I really appreciate you taking time out and spending time with us this morning. It's been really great, really informative. And if you guys decide that you need a home office or a nook for the kids, or if you need a beautiful closet or even a garage, your garage finished out, you need to give Closets by Design DFW a call or contact them and watch our show again, and the spot runs and all the info's right there on how to get them. It's Closets by Design DFW, my friends, and people I really have a lot of confidence in. So I really appreciate you being here, and it's been really a lot of fun. And
thanks, Alex.
Thank you very much to On Air Media for hosting us today and taking care of us. Thank you, Mr. Ziggy Becker. It's always great working with you. Thank you to all of our sponsors. We really, really do appreciate you. And of course, our audience. Thank you so much. I got my Google analytics today and saw that we're up 1,500 people a month watching these videos, and I really appreciate it. I realize it's not, Kardashian numbers, but it's not bad for our little show. We really, really do appreciate it. Stay tuned next week. We're going to have another fantastic show. We have a lady contractor, lady remodeler from Central Texas, from Austin. We're going to have a lot of fun with her. She just doesn't know what she's in for yet. Have a great week. This is Alex Guthrie checking out. I'll see you next week.
The views and opinions of this program are for educational and entertainment purposes only and are not intended to replace the recommendations of a hired professional.
You can catch Remodel Revolution anytime. Follow the show on the website, remodelrevolutionradio.com, or on social media, Facebook, Instagram, and Pinterest, using the handle @Remodel Revolution Radio. You can always listen to the show on iTunes, Spotify, Google Play, and TuneIn, and watch the show anytime on YouTube.